everybody, my name is Karen Weinman. Thank you for joining me and interacting with this talk. I'd like to introduce myself and talk a little bit about what I do in my background and to touch on some delicious topics and hopefully on the way get you to think a little bit more about what you're made up of. You know, who are you? Where are you conscious? So a lot of delicious topics on the way. So first of all, I call myself an energy therapist. I'm also a teacher. I facilitate groups, and basically I suppose I facilitate people to transform their lives, to find out where they're blocked, to find out why, and to find ways to bring more consciousness into their everyday living. And I offer tools and skills and community. Very often they don't have anyone to talk about and talk to about it, and then we can connect, but also with groups. It's being with like-minded people who understand, who've also been lost and are trying to find their way. So I've talked about consciousness in quite a few places. You know, finding consciousness within us, the consciousness in the group. What is consciousness? In the Oxford Dictionary, consciousness is about awareness. It also says it's person's thoughts and feelings as a whole. We often talk of the word holistic. Consciousness is holistic on so many layers. It's not just our physical. We are conscious emotionally, mentally, spiritually. In fact, we use the word consciousness for the universe. Many people will use consciousness as something out there that glues us all together, that they wish to connect with and wish that they had inside them. And hopefully we'll offer methods for you to do that. So I don't know if you've heard the joke. How many therapists does it take to change a light bulb? It only takes one, but the light bulb has to want to change, which of course is always crucial to any process, to any growth, to any shifting of awareness. We have to want to change, and just that little step will invite life to start interacting with us and showing ways of being. So let's look at consciousness. What does that mean in our lives? You know, what is it about changing? I mean, unfortunately for most of us, we live in an unconscious state. We live with patterns that we're so unaware of. It's like chasing our tails. We go around and around and around. And it really has to take something to shake us up. So either we get very ill, or our body gets sick, or we have pain, and we get that pain over and over again. We might try and make it go away with a painkiller. We might take all kinds of medication. Not that there's anything wrong with medication, but for some of us we find it keeps repeating. Our body starts to talk really loudly to us. And usually at that point I start to have people walking through my front door. Or it happens on other levels. So we have relationships that we repeat over and over and over and over again. We start to notice that there is a theme that is running through all of them. What is that about? Or we might notice we blocked, I mean, here's something that is crucial for all of us, of course, in our money. So some of us find there's just never ever enough money. Or maybe we've started a business and we can't seem to attract, and it feels like something is slowing down. Very often I will get people coming in and saying, I just feel like I'm sabotaging myself. Every time I get somewhere successful, it falls apart. Or I want to feel more connected to the universe, or I want to feel more connected inwardly, or I don't feel connected with life or with people. I feel like I'm on the outside. There are so many doors into starting to discover that actually something's not quite right and we want to change it. And that's, as I say, where I start to come in as a therapist or as a group facilitator. People walking into my rooms or walking into a workshop and saying something's not working, can you help me? I want to start looking inwards. So of course this is a huge topic, and there are so many ways, and we're going to explore that. There are going to be courses and articles and blogs and all kinds of formats for you to tap into, as well as a community that we can discuss this with. It's such a delicious topic, because I believe one of the biggest things are sabotage patterns. They start to have a lot of power over our lives, and if we can be aware of them, we can make changes to our lives. Of course, the thing is, how do we start to do that? Now, for people who physically come to see me, I use something called kinesiology, which is all about muscle testing the body. There is a way to chat directly to the innate intelligence of the body and to get yes and no answers, so we can actually ask things. What generally seems to happen is we go through circumstances where there is something we're unconscious of. So we're at school, we have, for want of a better example, a teacher who picks on us in a moment that we don't realize. We feel like a victim, we feel angry, we don't know how to deal with it, we might be afraid of her, and we take that and we bury it in the body because we cannot express it outwardly, and that gets buried in the body. Feeling emotion is an energy. There might even be an unconscious pattern that says I'm a victim, and yeah, that gets stored in the body. And of course, especially as children, we don't think about it twice. And you know, if we hold on to an energy long enough, eventually it will store in a part of the body, let's say the knee. We may find that the subconscious starts to go, oh, I must be a victim because I'm holding on to a pattern. When we hold on to a pattern long enough, it starts to become a reality. And after a while, the body starts to go, well, this must be true. We must be a victim. And so we start to manifest. You know, we're such powerful beings that we will buy into a pattern and think it's true. Because our subconsciouses are quite naive. It'll believe anything we tell it over and over again, whether we're telling ourselves that out loud or whether it's just sitting in the body, circling around. And so in sessions, one-on-one or in groups, we start to talk about the things that have happened. Just to take a moment to be aware of, what happened in that moment with the teacher? How old was I? What are the details? Am I a victim? Am I being a victim in my relationships? Of course, I'm just using victimhood as an example. It shows up in many ways. So maybe that we're not deserving, that we will block relationships because they're not happy things. We've seen our parents go through trouble, all kinds of things. And once we understand what these patterns are, we can then release them, because it's all energy at the end of the day. And that's where energy anatomy comes in. I can show you ways of using energy to release these energy blockages in our system so that our bodies can heal, so our minds can release patterns, and we can't bring them back unless we go back in time and recreate a situation, which is not possible. And so we release these patterns and we start to look at things in a very different way. And what I find is, for people who I see ongoing, or for people that are in groups, when they start to shake up these patterns and look at them differently, they start a journey of discovery, because they'll start thinking, are there other patterns? What else has happened in my life? Where else could I learn something? Where else could I change? What do I want from an inner place? Is there more love I'm wanting in my life? All right, if I want to love myself, I could start with affirmations. I could start behaving in a different way. It takes the lid off, Pandora's lid, I suppose, but of good things. And we start to question. I think that's a really important thing. We start to question instead of being stuck in a pattern that hasn't worked for us for probably most of our lives. And of course, what happens is, as we become more and more conscious, we become aware of what is around us, and we start to question what we're manifesting. Do we want to manifest something different? If it is something different, what is it that we do want? And then, of course, how do we manifest? How do we go about that? How do we tap into the power of our mind to create what we want? And how do we manifest from a place that is true within us, and not just something that comes from the outside about how we should be? So as you can hear, it brings up a lot of delicious points. And yes, that's what we're going to explore. And what I often find is for people that they're with people that are reflecting the same kind of patterning. And they start looking for community or for groups of people who are thinking, who are like-minded, who also have had this awakening. And hence the groups start to build. And I would like to do that online, and to offer that to you. as a way of exploring, but also to offer you community. We learn so much through each other, we don't realize it. And that brings me to a quote that I'd like to read out to leave with you. It's from Ram Dass, and it says, "We are all affecting the world every moment, whether we mean to or not. Our actions and state of mind matter because we are so deeply interconnected with one another. Working on our own consciousness is the most important thing that we are doing at any moment, and being love is the supreme creative act." So I hope I have given you something to think about. I would ask if that appeals to you, or you'd like to comment or voice your point of view. You can find me on Facebook under Karen Weinman, or you can go to Pathways to Mastery, which is my Twitter address. That's @Pathways to Mastery, or pathwaystoinnerwisdom.com is my site. And I look forward to hearing your thoughts on this topic. Take care and dare to be conscious.